Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, TransparentTradeSolutions.com on a Friday, 29th, last trading day of May. We are hovering at the all-time highs, been kind of just churning all day. Let's get right into the charts and check it out. Obviously, lots of stuff going on below the surface. There is a potential, I'm doing this about an hour before the close, and one thing to note here on the NASDAQ, this is really interesting. Going into the last hour, there is a potential if we can cross this line here today, could be a reversal, intraday reversal. So we will see. Again, this is at about 11:58 Pacific when I'm doing this. So we will see. We got about a full hour of trading. Let's see if they can take that below that. That would be somewhat interesting. Again, with what's happening, put call ratios at the highest it's been for like 4 years. Uh, in other words, call buying. Obviously, Dell moved today and so on and so forth. Maybe the market takes a breather uh, next week. We also have that war situation. Supposedly, there's going to be a decision on the um, the deal that was proposed. So lots of stuff. We know that every weekend there's going to be a gap in oil. This, whatever happens over the weekend with that Iranian deal could also impact the market. So that's interesting for starters. The S&P probably has some support here at 75.6950, which was the high. So it's interesting that the NASDAQ is the one that's maybe showing a little bit of weakness. All the other averages really just kind of meandering about at all-time highs, nothing there. Bitcoin dead in the water still. Maybe that's a catch-up trade. This is interesting also. If you take a look at Bitcoin, if it can come down around 70K and hold, maybe this will come to life at some point. It's just been dead. And pessimism in Bitcoin. There's huge outflow in the IBIT and all the related ETFs. So maybe this is coming. This is something to watch next week as well. The VIX is right at, typically 15 has been the mark. Some, again, too early to say. Still want to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt, but we are getting a little frothy. And some kind of pullback wouldn't be out of the question here. Rates, not much happening there. Dollar, similarly, there's just, kind of just churning here. We'll see how that pans out over the weekend. Next week's going to be interesting. We've got non-farm payrolls, metals, also, somewhat interesting. Looks like we held 4,400 in gold. Maybe that comes to life as well. These metals markets have been pretty dull. But I think it's time for them to maybe wake up and start doing something as well. Oil is basically at the bottom end of the range here, at 86. You can see that there. We'll see if that holds or we go back to 81 gap, this gap here. So for now, it looks like we're kind of at that. The total range is going to be down to 80 at this gap. But it looks like even with the news that the deal came out and whatever, obviously it's not legitimate yet. It's interesting that they can't break 86. So that's something to watch. Also, nat gas starting to perk up again, but just no follow through. We will have to see over the weekend if there's any meaningful gap, if there's a shallow pullback here and then rallies, that could be the case. But we've seen this many times before. I would not trust this until we actually see maybe a pullback shallow down to maybe 320 and then a rally otherwise, or possibly a gap this weekend, pretty much. And then the grains are more or less trading in lockstep with oil because of the straits having so many such an impact on all the chemicals and all that agriculture uses. So not really what we'll see what happens with wheat. That's the only one that's kind of interesting if it can hold this $6 a bushel going into the weekend. We've got a legitimate demand zone here, but I would actually watch this for a reversal right around 6 a bushel to see what happens there. Corn, similarly, just not a lot happening with corn futures. Looks like corn maybe headed back down to 4. I don't know. That's really not more focus on soybeans and wheat. Below the surface, lots of stuff going on. The semiconductor stock still going crazy. Dell, we had Dell, we had Snowflake, just huge moves. We're in service now, by the way, and we did get out this morning. So we'll see if that actually pulls back. That would be interesting. And then some of these energy stocks could be setting up for next week now that presumably the war is over. So we'll see what happens. In any event, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Take care. Again, subscribe to the newsletter and give me a thumbs up. Put some commentary in the chat. If you have any questions about what we're doing, again, hit us at transparenttradesolutions.com support. Have a great weekend.